YCS Japan wasn't the only YCS this weekend. We have Ecuador with some interesting action. Make sure you guys smash the little crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. Your top 32 breakdown for Ecuador. Now, we are missing one slot in the unknown category, but having 31 out of the 32, I think, is good enough for me. So we had 7 Snake Eyes decks in your top cut. Actually, I'm kind of intrigued with this because Tenpai also had 7 representatives in the top cut here. So you're kind of noticing a little bit of a back and forth here with Snake Eyes and Tenpai kind of edging in on each other out here with these numbers, which is actually kind of interesting to be seeing. We also had 5 Fire King variations. If you want to be technical, if you want to wrap up the Snake Eyes versions with the Fire King versions, and you want to call them, you know, there's some sort of Snake Eyes composition, you're looking at about 12 in total, so they are technically overcoming the Tenpai side of the equation, but Fire King does have the Kirin pops and access to all the Fire King stuff that the deck wants to, and I think that definitely makes skewing things a little bit more worthwhile. Now, we also had 3 Yubel here. Yubel's fall needs to be studied, actually, because so many people were so confident. You know, Yubel's gonna do fine, Robbie. You're just crazy for thinking bad. No, we accurately knew Yubel was going to start spinning out here. And now that we've had the chance to look at this, it's a story that's been very well written now. Yubel's still a good deck, for sure, but it has descended out of the power creep cycle, and it is doing pretty rough out here. Alright, we've also got 1 or 2 Flu decks in Top Cut. Now, this was kind of surprising. I'm glad to see that Flu did have a participation in the Top Cut for this, but Flu's been pretty dormant for a while. We also had 1 Labyrinth duelist. Labyrinth had a pretty good showing out of YCSJ. I actually quite enjoyed that a lot. We also have 1 Exodia deck. The Unstoppable Board Breaker, the 8000 Machine the deck. We also had Magical Musketeer. Now, I do not have this Magical Musketeer list. I assume that this will pop up eventually, but that's actually a pretty cool rogue deck to be seeing. We also did have the power of Branded yet again. Branded getting some real spotlight action out here, I gotta tell you. We also had Dragon Link. Yes, Dragon is still doing pretty good. The combo lines have not really changed all that much, except for, you know, you got the new Omni, which helped out a lot. That's about it. We also had a Trap Tricks duelist in Top Cut as well. Wonder if it's Bortle. That'd be really cool. And then, of course, we had Mermail wrapping up your top 32. Now, you had a lot more Rogue in this. It was a little bit smaller of a YCS, which is fine. But you're getting the chance to see the action out here. You're getting the chance to see how these Rogue contenders are kind of stacking up. And not everything is being thrown at the wall with meta, and I think that's a good thing. Let's pass on over to deck list. So starting things off here, we have our first place list, and it's a pretty basic list, actually. I'm not too surprised to see this, but considering the fact that Standard Bellstar, we're doing 2 Ukalonics, I think 2 Ukalonics was definitely the safer approach to things. And then, of course, you've noticed that this build has been going to the double Deception instead, of course, triple Mulch Army. Yeah, absolutely love this. I do see that we are sending the little Fucho in case we do run into Tenpai. We also have the Star Liege Lord down here as well. This has actually been starting to come up a little bit more. Obviously, Garunix and Vampire Lord are both 2 very strong cards. Having access is really good. And you've also noticed a lot more of these builds have been playing the Fire King Skyburn. From what I have gathered, Fire King Skyburn has, I mean, whether or not you choose to main this or side it, obviously for more of a localized environment, maining this, absolutely going to be a blowout card for you in a lot of situations. But this deck has definitely been doing some very, very strong plays, and I am happy to report that. All right, what else we got back here? Ooh, we have regular Snake Eyes with a Kashtira package for you. Now, we can go ahead and call this what this is at this point. You know, the Fenris and the Unicorns, they're getting the job done. So we're also playing 1 Raceloth, 1 Birth, so this is what, like a dedicated 7-card package for this. Seems kind of fine to me. We are actually seeing the Crows down here as well, and we're playing the little Fucho. Obviously, you know, the difference between the Fire King version and this is you have a little bit, your extra deck space is adjustable. I also do see that we are playing the Promethean Princess down here as well. This is very refreshing to see two of these, because in case of situation you do have to have something to kind of come back on the following turn. I think this does help out quite a lot. Outside of that, I mean, you're still doing standard Snake Eyes plays. You don't have a lot of innovation really in this deck anymore, except for, I think the Kashtira cards were pretty cool to see, but they're nothing too major in my opinion. All right, next up here, we have a lot of Snake Eyes for you. This is disgusting to be seeing this much. I see this build did choose to play Ogres, which is pretty cool. Alright, we also have Hello Azaroon and Impulses. Yeah, that's pretty normal. You do see the little Fucho down here. I gotta love deploying the little guy and laughing at our opponent. Citing the Perulias with maining these, which is fine. Outside of that, this is just the situation you found yourself in right now. Snake Eyes in the pure form, a lot of people, I think that the Fire King build might have a better edge over the Snake Eyes matchup itself, but the Fire King build does have some issues in the department with some of the other decks. So that's a little bit of something to kind of think about out here. But I like this. I like all the options that we got here. I'm happy to see what we've got going on in the meta. And maybe, we'll see Bonfire get limited and we'll start to see this deck, vominos out of the format at least a little bit. All right. Ooh, we have some Labyrinth action for you here. So we are doing a full furniture set. I mean, triple Chandelure, one copy of the Cuckoo Clock with triple Stovey Torby, which is fine. We're doing one copy of the Silver Castle with one lovely Labyrinth, which is fine. I see we are also doing two Arias, pretty good. And of course, we are doing one copy of the Field Spell. Field Spell being that Buster is really good. We are doing two transaction rollbacks, but you're also going to see here we are playing two copies of the Black Goat Laughs. This card is going to be a very, very strong card. Alright, just being able to control your opponent feels so good. I also do see down here in the extra deck, because we are playing Pot of Extravagance as our go-to card, you are going to have to triple up on some of these more expensive options. I love the two SPs down here, but, it's not like you're going to need to access these cards at all points, but it's one of those situations that you got to think about and go, hey, is it worth it? And typically the answer is yes. Yes, it is. All right, what else we got back here? Ooh, we have Ubel. Once again, hey, Kashtira moving back in those tech slots. I'm actually really happy to be seeing this. You have the Fenrir with the two unicorns, which is fine. You do have the Birth doing its thing. And of course, the one of Ray Sloth in here, which is good. We also have the Gustav Max, Access Code Talker being cited. You're typically bringing in the Access Code Talker when you need to clear out game and actually try to make sure you're going for it. And I see we do have the Unchained Soul of Anguish in here doing its thing as well. For the rest of this, though, I think this build looks very, very, very interesting. There have been builds that have been experimenting around with more than one track recently, which has kind of been, in itself, it's been interesting to be seeing. So I gotta say that. But outside of that, cool. I like what I'm seeing, at least in terms of the action for this. And then we have some Flunderies action for you. Finally, we're back to playing some copies of Featherstorm. This is a good chuckle, actually. I know a lot of people have looked at this card, they've had differencing of opinions, and it's interesting to see what people are tossing around for numbers. So 2-1 of this is interesting. I see 2 M-Pen, which is good. We're playing 1 Dark Ruler in the main. I really don't know how I feel about that. I also see that we have Yield Evenly Matched to Board Break. And this build is actually citing Swift Scarecrow. I guess if your opponent thinks that, well, this is just bad against Tempai. Because, like, if you can't respond during the battle phase, I guess the logic is you're expecting your opponent not to build up to the big card and then go, but in a situation like this, though, I don't know, I just don't really feel like this is all that worthwhile. But, hey, it made top 32, so I guess I can't hate on it all that much. So that's your flu list. And then we also have the Unbridled Power of Exodia, the Forbidden One. Now, more and more lists have been actually playing Melody out here. This is kind of cool. I mean, it's just discard add up to 2 dragons with 3,000 or more attacks. You just search for 2 copies of the Heart of the Blue Eyes out here, and congratulations, you get a discard. Hey, you have an Onk loaded on up for the next turn. Hey, if you pull 2 of these, well, congratulations. you get another onk on the next turn. All right, like you want to have this. You just want to be able to keep rolling these out so that your opponent's forced to have to deal with the pressure that Exodia is putting on your opponent. Like that's the thing. All right, like Exodia is such a stupidly strong card that as you're putting that pressure on your opponent, it's just working out relatively well overall. So I liked this. This event was pretty interesting to see. It's not all the time that we get to see some of these numbers, but I think with how things were for this event, it was pretty good. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.